Hi, dear astrologer from official.wordpress.com, and I wanted to make another video. I just did one about the difference between synastry and composite charts, and I wanted to make a video about composite charts. So I explained what a composite chart is. Excuse me. I explained what it is in the other video. It's the bigger picture between two people. It's a chart of one relationship, no matter what kind of relationship that is, romantic or not, or siblings or business or, whoever. It doesn't matter. Composite charts can be for any two people. But it's a chart for the whole relationship, the overall bigger picture, not the day-to-day relating and how you interact with each other, but it's a chart of the whole relationship itself. Especially when other people look at you, they can see the composite chart. Now, the thing I wanted to do in this video, some aspects. So they're like some keys of how the relationship can really go. Any kind of relating, like I said. Now, like I said in the other video, or fate of relationship, and that's what I want to talk about. Whenever you have these kind of aspects in the composite chart, like the fate of people, the fate can be like still relating to each other in whatever kind of way you do. And now there's one, I think it's there can be several that make it kind of like, so you're, the two people are kind of going in different ways. Not that you actually have to do that. It can be that some goals you have and stuff like that. One aspect is not going to make or break a relationship, so you have to keep that in mind if you're like trying to figure out your relationship with whoever. It doesn't have to mean that your relationship is going to end just because you have an aspect that means that your goals or your whatever, your some kind of your relationship is when the two people are going kind of, like, especially that would be in squares, it means there's something to work out. A square is tension. It's like where you clash and have to work something out. It doesn't mean that you have to break up with someone because you have this one aspect. So, like, don't worry about it like that. But Saturn square Mars is one of them, or Saturn in conjunct the MC, or stuff like that. Like I said, it can mean that you maybe could possibly want to have the relationship with a person if the one aspect, like I said, is not going to make or break a relationship. You have to keep that in mind. But maybe some kind of a guidance of what you want to do with the relationship. If the synastry and the composite chart is such, where you're having a lot of difficulties and can't work things out, that can be, something to look at. It doesn't mean that you have to not work things out with a person. Working things out with someone is your own personal choice, because synastry and composites always have difficult aspects. It doesn't mean it needs to end. It means it's a difficult thing you have to work out, and especially like the placements of like what's in the 12th house can mean an ending of a relationship more than one aspect. Most of the time is really have to look at the 12th house also, see if there's a bunch of crap in there, and see, like, if um what you want to do about it. Like I said, is most of it's up to people what they want to decide, for relationships. But the 12th house is one indicator. It's a very, very, like, good indicator of whether the relationship can keep going or not. I look at composite charts for me and people that I relate to on different levels, and a lot of times there's not 12th house things. Sometimes in my past, I've not kept relating to people, but so it's not always going to be that the 12th house is going to be an indicator. A lot of times it's up to you. And now there are transits that make things happen a certain way, whether you want them to or not. But a lot of times when you're relating to people, the most meaningful relationships and the ones that make you grow the most have difficult things in them. So it's not that you can't keep relating to each other. It's sometimes it's if you decide that you aren't going to, because with the same transits, the same eclipses, the same difficult things that is aspecting our natal chart and our synastry is happening to everyone. There's not a set of transits for each person, like, that's in the sky. You have your personal transits in your natal chart, but everyone's birth chart. There's not a set of transits for a group of people and then another group. It's one set of transits in the sky aspecting everyone's natal charts. So a lot of times it's up to you whether you want to keep relating to each other and working things out and stuff, because it is, like, there can be like transits where it says it's I'm getting off topic here, but, like, I just wanted to put this in here just because the composite chart is the fate of the relationship. But some transits can feel like, a new beginning of something, like eclipses, but it doesn't always have to be the whole relationship of people. It can be one aspect of it, working things out like that. So you have to keep that in mind when you're looking at the composite chart and century also, because, like I said, you can't base a relationship on one aspect or one difficult time or one anything. When transits are aspecting your natal charts and your relationship, you can't base one difficulty on one thing and say, that one aspect in the composite chart is why, because it doesn't work that way. It's much more complex than that. One aspect in the composite chart can't make or break a relationship. So it's not always going to be, uh, the 12th house, like I was saying, but it can be an indicator. A lot of times it can be deciding that your karma with people is annoying and you don't want to deal with it. Because, one person, their natal chart and the Pluto crap, a lot of times people don't want to deal with it, and that's a lot of times why people don't keep relating to each other, because it's a choice. But now, on the other hand, in the composite chart, though, Uranus conjunct Mars, it means people, especially if they're relating to each other, have a relationship of some sort, or the universe wants them to keep meeting again. Depends, because one astrologer is not going to know the whole entire story of two people, because life is much more complex than that, and I can't make that up for you, decide that for you. I mean, life is much, much more complex than that, and you can't that they're going to decide your fate for you, because it doesn't work that way. The universe decides that a lot, but and what lessons in life, and if you learn them and stuff, but the Uranus, Mars in the composite chart means that two people, one, is this all right now? I hope. It's a nice, fun, cool aspect to have, where people, it's like the composite chart, like I said, is the relating of, two people as one. It's the relationship, like the chart of the relationship. And that's so important to know, because in this aspect, it means like cheating. In this aspect, it's really like fun aspect to have, especially between close people, or like best friends, or whatever kind of relating it can be. You can find it in any two people's charts that might not be relating to each other, or might in some little bit of a way, but it's a good indicator of the fate of people. Of like, sometimes, like I said, it means that like the two people as one, going to the same places, the same, end up in the same place. They don't for this aspect, because they end up getting there together without planning it, but it's as one. It's like whenever a square between the MC and Saturn, or in conjunction, or the Saturn square Mars, or something like that. That means you have to work together to make the relationship to come together more in one part of your life together. It doesn't mean the whole life, it means one part of it. But the conjunction between Uranus and Mars in the composite chart, it means that it's like one, and you're doing the same thing. You arrive at the same place. It's like whenever, like, you're hanging out, or a married couple is hanging out, or whoever is a business partners or whatever, and they have this fun, cool relating to each other, where they don't need a map, they don't need to decide what to do, because they're always going in the same way, like always doing the same things with this one aspect, and they have similar, reactions to life, where they're always doing the same thing, going to the same place. They end up there together without even planning it. It's like they bump into each other, even if they're doing it together the whole time. But they can do it separately. Like, you can like do it as one, or you can like be kind of separate, sort of, even in an ongoing relationship, and like you'll always end up in the same place together. It's like you didn't plan to do that, but you did it because of that aspect. Like, it's like as one, though, even if you're a married couple, for instance, even if they're, like the one that they're work, or even if you work at home and the other one doesn't, or if the one's at the grocery store at the moment, and then the other one's at working at home, and this aspect is getting activated, they somehow, their mindset, their plans, they don't have to plan it, though, their way of reacting to life, they're similar. It's like the two people react to life in such a similar way, that like this aspect getting activated when the one's at the grocery store, or a business relationship, but a close one, or friends, just friends, or whatever kind of relationship. Let's say the one's at the grocery store, like I said, the other one's working at home. So this aspect is getting activated where they're going somewhere. They don't even plan it, but it's like the two people as one, even if they're not in the same place, or if they are, like I said, it's getting activated to where, like, they end up and they're like, oh, you're here, and like they didn't even like plan it. That's what that aspect is all about. It's a little bit more than that, but it's such a fun aspect to have. And so there are like those kind of aspects, the different kinds where you're going to the same place or you're not, where the other ones, one is like going different ways. Even if you have a marriage with someone, you can have that. It doesn't mean that the relationship is going to end necessarily, but it can mean that you have more difficulty with one part of your relationship. Like the MC is your career, Saturn is the grown up planet, the grown up in all of us, where it's restrictions, responsibilities, and us needing to be responsible and an adult about life. So if that part of you and the MC, the career, is relating to each other, and it's a square or whatever, or the in conjunction, or whatever, it's like you have to put more effort into relating into getting your goals, so they, or the whatever, so they interact with each other in a way that isn't so much of a difficult thing. But it doesn't mean you can't have your different goals and be together. It means that there's something to work on, something to put effort into. There's those kind of aspects where it's like two, or one, kind of in the composite chart. People can see that too, where it's less or more of an effort you have to put into it. um and Also, there's other ones like that aren't really about where you're going. Uh, those, like, where you're going, that's so much fun to look at, as in the composite chart, as the relationship being one. That's what the composite chart is. Like I said, it is so much fun to see that in relationships, and see like how much or how little effort you have to put into relating, in that one aspect. Um, but then there's stuff like I was saying in the other video, I'm doing the playlist, uh, charts of two people relating to each other. Something like that will be the playlist for these two videos I've done today. And if I think of more to do on this subject, but that's one part of it, of the composite chart. But another is like where it's like you can have like affair aspects, and if you have other aspects, you can have that in relating. I've seen it in marriages, and other kind of relating, or in aspects I have with people. You can have like affair aspects, and like it doesn't mean that your whole relationship is going to be an affair, but one aspect can mean it's that kind of feel to it. um it can be where it can be in relationships where you're not even ever having an affair with anyone, where you are. It doesn't always have to mean that you're having an affair with people. Like, you can be the kind of person that never did that. Now, I've never had an affair with anyone, just to let you know. But I've had these kind of aspects with people. And like I said, it doesn't mean that you ever have to be having an affair with anyone. But you can have emotional affairs, like everyone knows, and pretty much everyone on this planet does that to some level, to some degree. And if you're not honest with yourself, if you say you don't, you're lying because everyone does. Because synastry and composite charts are and natal charts are so complex, and it's like life happens and people have emotional connections with each other, especially in synastry too, that feelings are hard to, not have. So if you say you don't ever have emotional micro cheating affairs with people, you're lying, because I just know that everyone does, because I just hear it all the time. Like in every, no matter if you're religious or not, or conservative or not, it's in every group of relating, and that's why I don't like conservative religious groups being a part of that. That's why I'm not, because they're such hypocrites that they don't be honest, and they build up such big walls and so many walls around them to protect them, and it attracts that to them so much, and they have so much problems with it, and they don't want to learn astrology and whatever, and like help themselves out and have less stress and whatever. So anyway, the point is, it's in all relating, the micro crap that we all do. I don't care who you say you are. I'm almost certain everybody has been a part of it. If you haven't, if you don't think you have, like whatever, I don't care. I still don't believe it, but whatever. Say what you want, but I'm sure everyone has been a part of it, and there's more or less in your natal chart of a tendency of that. And to be honest with you, I have enough indicators in my natal chart to be the kind of person that would have affairs, but I've never had a real actual one. But that I have that tendency in my natal chart to be that kind of person, especially with my Scorpio South Node being the way it has been in my whole life. That can be a big part of it. Your Pluto crap that you have to deal with. And you need to be honest with yourself about these aspects. It doesn't mean that you're going to have an affair. It means you have a tendency to go that way. But so it's something to work out for yourself if you care about it, But that's another part of composite charts too, and synastry. It's in synastry also, but there are, like several indicators of um those kind of aspects in the composite chart, which part of Uranus conjunct Mars is part of that. It can be part of it, or something else can be. It is sometimes depending on the situation and people and whatever. But it comes up for a reason, and what you do with it is up to you, or somewhat what the universe has for you. But it's a lot of your decision what you want to do, and what Pluto stuff you're dealing with in your own natal chart, and in synastry also, you know, and composite charts. Um, that's the other thing about there are some aspects in the composite chart and synastry with Pluto where it makes it easier or less easier to deal with. It's like in the composite chart or synastry even, it's like the two people are going in the same place, like they can do it together, work the Pluto crap together. But in the composite chart, like since this video is about composite charts, the squares and oppositions make it more difficult. The conjunctions would make it less difficult. The squares and oppositions are like the two people trying to do this on their own more, even though the composite chart is a chart of one relationship in the overall relationship. But it's like where the squares and the oppositions make the Pluto aspects make there's this friction, kind of a little bit of a wall between you, where you're kind of trying to do it on your own, sort of, and you're having difficulty staying together. But the one aspect being as one, not that you're not going to do it together, not that you're going to break up or anything or whatever, but the conjunctions make it, the difficult aspects being the conjunctions and square and oppositions, those activate stuff much stronger and quicker than the trines and sextiles and quintiles and stuff like that. And even the minor aspects, the difficult ones like the sesquiquadrate and the semi-squares and such things, the difficult major and minor aspects make something happen more quicker and activate things to be happening, even in good aspects. There are good squares sometimes where it's not all bad or going in different ways, but like I was saying though, the conjunctions especially, those are the ones where it gets really activated quick and really easily, but it's the one where you're being one in the composite chart more, doing stuff together more, going in the same way, or like doing, not having difficulty staying together more as one, like what the composite chart is. Conjunctions are like that more, with the Pluto aspects. And even the trines, definitely in the composite chart, the trines can be that way more. The synastry definition of a trine, or any aspect in the synastry has a different lot. There can be a little bit of a same definition, but a lot of times the overall definition of a synastry aspect and a composite aspect is so much different. Like, you know, like Pluto trine something, you know, uh, one of the personal planets in the synastry and the composite chart, they have such a different meaning a lot of times, or the squares or the conjunctions do. It's like in the Uranus conjunct Mars in the composite chart, that's as one. The composite chart is one chart of the whole relationship. But the synastry is the two people relating to each other and how they relate to each other on a day-to-day basis. And in the composite chart, the Uranus conjunct Mars is so different than the Uranus conjunct Mars in a synastry. It has such a different meaning, and what's happening is so different. The same aspect in the two different charts of the two people. It's like the synastry is like the two people relating to each other, how they are relating to each other. But the composite chart is the whole relationship. It's the two people as one. So it's such a different meaning. You cannot read a composite chart the same way as you do a synastry chart. It doesn't happen that way. So those kind of aspects, that I've talked about so far make it so, interesting to look at. The fate of the relationship in the composite chart. You have to look at it differently than you do the synastry chart. So then there's like the kind of aspects where you have difficulty with each other. You have to work something out, but it's like some aspects like where you have to be like not reacting to each other. You have to put that aside and work on this one aspect, like where you're, leaving the crap aside more and your ego, and dealing with the aspect where it's like, less crap to deal with, and you have to make the aspect work the way it should, and like you know not put extra stuff into it, which it does have that ego crap in the first place. That's what you have to work on. But if you can get that out of it, the aspect goes better. Like you have to realize that some aspects are about the ego and clashing. And if you can get that ego out of the way, you can deal with that actual aspect that has that ego part of it better. Like Neptune square something or conjunct or whatever, or Pluto sometimes. This is in the composite chart I'm talking about. Pluto, it has some ego stuff in it that's part of the aspect, but to deal with that aspect, you have to set aside your ego to deal with that aspect and make it happen the way it needs to happen. Because whenever you're letting your ego be in it, you're adding extra crap where it makes it difficult to deal with that aspect. And then there's stuff like uh Saturn conjunct the sun or moon. It's like whenever you those are different, but it's just something to talk about. Whenever there's conjunctions between certain planets, it's like, for one thing, like some of them, it's like where you can outgrow the relationship, and it doesn't always mean that you're gonna break up or anything, because it can be in marriages, and a lot of times it can be where it's like safety, kind of a net, and where you're so comfortable with each other. But those kind of aspects can mean that you can outgrow the relationship and you don't know what to do next with it. So it's just kind of like a safety kind of a feeling that you have with each other in that one aspect. That's not the whole chart, of the relationship. It's just one aspect of it. So it's not going to make or break a relationship necessarily, because you have to look at the overall picture of the whole composite chart, you know. Um, or another one, or some can be like where you know, of people for a reason, of each other for a reason, and your composite chart can be activated. And it's like, what if you want to deal with the difficult things that come up, you can work through this aspect. But sometimes, if the choice is that you don't want to deal with it, some aspects, even Saturn or whatever else, it makes it so it's better to just part then. Um, I've seen these aspects in other people's composite charts where there's a choice. If you want to deal with the stuff that comes up, then you can deal with it properly and keep relating. But if you don't want to deal with it, then it's going to be so difficult to deal with this one aspect where sometimes it's better to part, after the lesson in the aspect has been brought to your attention, you know. So there's those kind of aspects too. With Saturn and, like the sun or whatever, and there's different parts of the one aspect in the composite chart where it's not all just one thing, like I was saying. Because there can be a safety in Saturn aspects and difficulty in glue, but sometimes it's not all fun to keep relating to each other. Sometimes, especially like I was saying in the composite chart, where sometimes it's better to part, like because you don't want to deal with it anymore. So there's that. And some Pluto trine aspects or conjunctions, it's like it's, especially with Saturn sometimes in the mix, it can be such glue. And even in Pluto, it's not necessarily that Pluto is a glue, but certain aspect with, Pluto and some planets, it can be like where it feels like a little bit of glue, a bond of some sort, where like you can stay together so much in the aspect and just work through it so well, where like it's so easy to just keep on working together in those aspects. And like Jupiter, it can be such like a forgiving planet, like seeing the best in each other, um, or like being a cheerleader for each other, and like not giving up on each other, in the composite charts. Like you have such like understanding of each other, and the quintiles and the biquintiles too can be like that. Quintiles and biquintiles are like the best friend aspects to have. Like you just get each other. You just click really well in a nice, loving way that people see that about you, and it's really a cute aspect to have. Like any aspects, it's like you just click with each other and just get along really well, and people can see that, and it's like it's just a really fun, cute way of relating to each other, and just being able to like keep relating to each other, and being able to understand each other. Um, so there's that too. So anyway, I'll be making actual aspects in the composite chart soon, but I wanted to explain the overall. I'll be making more soon.